Welcome back, everybody. It's Jim here from OUTAPocket. Today I'm really excited to do a video that I know a number of you have been waiting for, and that's traveling with bikes inside the Solis Pocket. I've collected our representative fleet of bikes here that we're going to take a look at, putting these bikes inside the pocket and bringing them on the trips with you, so you don't have to have them outside on a bike rack. Key to carrying bikes inside the pocket are the use of these logistic tracks right here. Now, they advertise, or at least people say, with the Solis Pocket you can carry 2 mountain bikes inside the pocket. But before we bought the van, I had all these questions about how that works. Obviously you can put 1 bike here. Can you put 2 side by side? I asked my friend about it. He told me he mounts one here and then he puts the other bike next to it and bungees them all together. This bungee cord solution really wasn't what I had in mind. I can just envision the bikes like scraping up against each other and all that. What I really want, or what we wanted, was a clean way to carry 2 bikes, use these tracks, they're all stable, and you can go long distances without any worries about it. Now, a modern mountain bike has handlebars that are up to 800 millimeters. So one of the considerations you have in this space is if you put 2 bikes side by side, you're looking at, depending on where you measure, this is about 87 millimeters. I have a light there. This little cabinet, it's a little bit less, so maybe 84 millimeters. So 2 800 millimeter handlebars, even if you get them pretty close, don't fit within here. So that's where these little pockets on each side come in. The handlebars are going to stick slightly into each of those pockets on each side, so the bikes will be side by side and fit within the available space. Just so you all know what we're talking about, the bottom of this one is about 28 inches or 71 millimeters. The bottom of this one is about just under 30 inches, about, 76 millimeters. So that, if you're measuring your own bikes, figuring out how to get them into the pocket, you have to be aware you're going to want them to stick into those compartments. So for putting the bikes into the pocket, we needed a fork mount. So after some research, I bought 2 of these FreedomCoast fork mounts. They're very adjustable. They have different plugs that go in for the different front axle sizes. This is a 15 by 110. That's the standard mountain bike size these days. This is 12 by 100. That's a gravel bike size. On this one, we have fat bike, 15 by 150. And 15 by 100, that's kind of the older mountain bike style, and these all pop right out. And the nice thing about these is you can mount your bike in the top position or in the lower position. So what I'm looking to do is get the bike staggered, the handlebars both vertically and horizontally. So one bike is a little deeper in the van than the other, and one's a little higher than the other in the van. These things also do adjust along this plane. You can see this one is adjusted back a little more. You take these screws out, and they've got a few different positions. You can rotate it and put those screws in depending on what you're trying to do. So I'm going to set this up. So first, with 2 mountain bikes, there's specialized stump jumpers. One is a size small, or S2. One is a medium, which is size S3. So I want to set it up so the smaller one is a little lower than the taller one, and the taller one is a little further back and higher to fit into that compartment. So that's what we're going to do, and start by attaching these to the L-track positions. Yeah, see, those are pretty sturdy once they're in there. So we'll put that one there, plan to mount it on the bottom. Put this one here, plan to mount it on the top. There. Now I'm going to do this with the bed down, which means I'm going to put the seat posts, these both have dropper seat posts, I'm going to put those down. I'll show you what the height's like after they're mounted. If you don't have a dropper post, you could have a concern hitting the bed, but we'll look at that once we get them in there. Okay, so we're putting the seat down. This is the size S2, this is Cindy's bike, the smaller one. I keep the needed wrenches right here for the axle size. So we'll get this front wheel off. Oh, this one has quick release. Perfect. Even easier. we go. Set this aside. There. Get this bike in. Okay, so this one's in. It's the smaller bike, so it's a little bit lower. You can see the handlebar and the brake tuck right into this cabinet. And I have that mounted in the lowest position down here on the fork mount. So now I'll get the other bike. Okay, same process on the second bike. Seat post down. This is the one that needs the wrench. So take that front wheel off. Set that aside. This front wheel here. And gently slide this one in next to it. Alright, now what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to straighten the bars so I can get behind. Maybe if I put this one in first I wouldn't have to do this, but this works. Straighten the bars. Line that up. Sure nothing's caught. Put it on that mount. There we go. Tighten that up. And there we go. They're both in. Space them out. Usually I put like just a little pad on one side so it doesn't hit the wall of the cabinet. You can look in there and see how it is. And then you just put the two tires in kind of next to the bikes. I usually do bungee cord those to the bikes. And that's it. They both fit. There's space. This one again sticks into that pocket with the handlebar. So you can fit both 800mm bars in here side by side. And another question I had before we bought the van was how far into the living area do the bikes stick out? So let's take a look at that. So it's really, they don't stick out very far at all. Maybe if you have a large or extra large, it's going to move progressively into the space more, but this is more than manageable. We've stayed overnight, you know, traveled with the bikes just like this. It's really not, they're really not in your way at all. So the next question is, what if you don't have a dropper seat post? And you want, obviously, it doesn't matter if the bed is up like this. I'm going to raise this one. We're going to close the bed. Again, this is a size medium bike. That makes it, but not by much. You're looking at very marginal. So with a larger bike, a taller rider, you're probably going to need a dropper seat post in order to travel with the bikes underneath the bed like this. Okay, so that's traveling with two mountain bikes. It's actually really straightforward. I want to take a look at the gravel or road bike situation next. So I've got my gravel bike mounted in here using the same approach we took with the mountain bikes, but there's a big problem. And that's that these handlebars on a road bike really stick out toward the back. And even with this flexible fork mount, I have that thing all the way back, and still these handlebars hit the rear door. So as I was pointing out with the gravel bike, look at that. This door is definitely not closing. It's hitting right there. Maybe it'd be a little better if the bar was here, but it really doesn't work. Road bikes and gravel bikes don't work using these factory L-track positions. The other thing, if you look right here with the gravel bike, depending on what size you have, is that you're going to hit the seat. This one, fortunately, I'm a size medium. I'm relatively short, but if you're a tall person, if you look under here, yeah, you're going to see that your seat's probably going to end up hitting the bed. So, if you don't have a dropper post, you might have to lower it or travel with the bed up in the case of a road or gravel bike. Okay, so this is what I invented to deal with bringing a gravel bike around, because it doesn't fit in these. This is basically my own section of L-track, mounted on a piece of wood. Originally, I put some rubber on this wood, but that was moving around too much, so I put it on this big black heavy mat. This is actually a piece of what's called horse mat that I cut up, but you can use a piece of plywood or whatever. Then that was sliding around too much, so then I stapled some anti-slip stuff on the bottom. That holds. So now, when I travel with a gravel bike, you could do this with 2 gravel bikes. Cindy is not a big graveler, so I only need to travel with one inside, but you could have this, and you don't have the same bar issue to deal with. But then this thing becomes my new L-track, like that. That'll go in like that, screw it in. Now you've got plenty of space, your space back, and you can travel just fine with a gravel or road bike. Again, you still have the seat height issue, but that'll be dependent on your bike and what you have for a dropper post and so on. So as far as the fat bikes go, we were unable to get fat bikes into the van using the standard L-tracks like we were with regular mountain bikes. We were able to get them in there, but we had to use kind of a combination. One was able to be in the normal L-track with the fork mount. The other one, I had to use my modified L-track, which was able to space that bike back, just like we had to do with the gravel bike, so that the handlebars and everything were far enough back. You can see even here the tolerance on this one is a little tight, but they're in there. So that's the only way we could figure out to travel with the 2 fat bikes inside. Let's also take a look in the back and see how much is sticking into the cabin. So you can see with the fat bikes, one spaced back, we definitely have it sticking out a little more into the living area, but you know, it's workable. I'm not sure I'd want to go cross country with the fat bikes, but you can make it work. So the other thing I wanted to point out, if you saw our upgrade videos, you know that we put this Inhabit mat set in the van. Now you can take the back one out if you're traveling with bikes to access the standard L-tracks. But with this thing, you don't need to. You can leave it in. That non-stick won't slide around on this mat. Works for one bike. Like I said, you can make this wide for 2 bikes if you want. I bought this little piece also from FreedomCoast. They come in different lengths. But then you can throw this right on top of the mat. You don't have to pull it out. And it makes it carrying one bike easy. You move it forward or backward depending on what you need to do, gravel bike, mountain bike, etc. So this is pretty useful from that perspective. So in summary, traveling with 2 mountain bikes inside the pocket works really well, and you can use the standard L-tracks here. You just need a flexible type of fork mount. These aren't the only ones, but ideally something that adjusts this way, and you can mount, move it back and forth to fit the handlebars in. Traveling with a road bike or a gravel bike, you have to watch those back doors, the seat height. This was my solution to traveling there. Fat bikes, to be honest, it was really tough to get 2 fat bikes into the van. It took a lot of work, banging, they're hitting each other. We did do it using this and one of these, so it's possible, but I'm not sure I'd recommend traveling very far with it. So hopefully you have bikes matching one of these styles, and this video is helpful to you if you're considering the Pocket and how you would travel with bikes inside your Pocket. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Until then, we'll see you next time.